their teacher, so.
But it's like
she also-
0,
So-
6 days prior.
And she told us.
Julie.
She said,
You talking some pretty bad shape over there.
Flowers up.
Oh, are we on? Okay. I would like to call to order the January 23rd, 2024 Columbia Borough Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Council President Zink.
Here.
Councilperson Kaufman.
Here.
Councilperson Stahl.
Here.
Councilperson Fisher.
Here.
Councilperson Price. Councilperson Murphy.
Here.
Councilperson Burgard.
Here.
Mayor Lutz.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Would anybody like to offer an invocation? If you would like, please rise for a moment of silence. Councilperson Murphy, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of executive and information sessions, there were none. Are there any additions, deletions, or reorganization of the agenda needed? I'm not aware of any. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as published?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the agenda as published. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Citizen comment non-agenda items only. The first sign-up we have is Sharon Littner.
Hello, Sharon Littner, Justice Street. I have a couple quick questions. One is, can you tell me why HARD was canceled this month? Why was it canceled in January?
I don't believe we had any cases for it moving forward. I had to look it up and see.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually true. We had no cases, but we had some items we were going to discuss and talk about, like moving forward with getting the education materials together and everything else. But the chair decided to cancel the meeting.
Okay, because I was thinking that's where we were not going to cancel as many as like last year. And I was thinking they were going to use that time if they didn't have a case to discuss education and stuff. Okay. And the other thing, you may want me to wait, this might be more of an agenda item. It's part of the finance report, the detailed expenditure sheet. Should I hold on?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And next we have Julia, is it Shy?
Yes, you got it. Thank you.
Right.
Hi guys. I'm a new resident of Columbia, and I just bought a house down on North 2nd Street, and I've already made a complaint to the Codes Enforcement Department about this, but since it's still kind of fresh, apparently it's only been happening for like 2 or 3 months. I just wanted to make a comment about an alarm that's been going off at the Federal Metal Plant many times throughout the night. Often it's a security alarm that's motion activated, and I'm not even like right across the street from the plant, but it wakes me up frequently. Sometimes it goes off like 9 times during the night when I'm trying to sleep. It's very obnoxious, and I know that it's affecting a lot of other people, so I just wanted to speak up about it and register my concern. So,
Madam President, if I may, ironically, Chief Brummer and I talked about this morning.
oh, are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. We have another location that the same thing is happening, and I think, Mark, you were involved in that also. And the chief remarked to me that there are several others where this is happening. And our thoughts are that council may want to take this up and look at creating some type of ordinance or whatever so that this isn't permitted. Evan, you might want to speak to this.
I was going to say, as we develop the nuisance ordinance that we've spoken about, I think that would cover that, because generally it prohibits, loud noises between the hours of, 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. or whatever the
But
case.
don't we already have something
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah.
We already have
We have that,
something
we have it in the
else.
fee schedule. We have cited, but I think we need to make it probably ironclad and maybe standalone. I like standalone rather than things that are rolled in 3 or 4 different ordinances.
Well, I do too, but for now, I mean.
Well, we did it. We did
should
it. Yeah, we
Definitely
did it.
enforce the ordinance that is on the book already and,
Yeah,
In one instance, there has been enforcement, so, yes. But I think there's a gray area there, and I sort of agree with the mayor. I think possibly looking at some sort of standalone ordinance would be beneficial.
as this technology evolves, if you're not aware of this, what's happening is, if I may, ma'am, people are installing cameras and also these voice activated, I'll say recorders outside of their home, and the sensitivity is that great when someone even walks down on the other side of the street or cars, out comes this message blaring that they have programmed in. Now, that can be that can be annoying, but it also, I look at it as a safety factor. You're driving down the street and say you have your windows down, and all of a sudden you hear someone yelling. You're going to look, did someone dart out in the street or whatever have you, and could cause an accident, or someone walking down the street, not familiar with that neighborhood and what's going on, and all of a sudden someone blares out, something, they may think that they're in danger, and could cause a problem. So it's not only a nuisance problem, it's a safety problem too.
in the meantime, until we work on the ordinance, Evan, can you talk to Jack about the concerns and what barriers we have at this point to enforce it? Because I don't want to sit here and say we're going to let it go until we get something else in place, knowing that how long it's been taking us to get through.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, as the chief said, we have cited on this,
Yeah.
and we will continue, but we'd like it not to have any gray areas.
Right.
Ma'am, thank you for bringing that forward. The timing was perfect.
I believe
Thank
there's
you
a
guys so
restaurant,
much.
isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Councilmember.
If council,
Yeah, that's fine, because I was just about to say,
Okay.
is there anyone that didn't sign up that would like to speak?
Right, I'm sorry, this is my first meeting, thank you.
That's all right.
And I do want to say as far as
Oh,
the...
first of all, state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Laura Pennington.
Okay.
I live on Perry Street, on the railroad tracks.
Okay.
I do want to say as far as the ordinances with the sound and the lighting and stuff like that, we do have a major problem at 130 Perry Street, right on the corner of 2nd and Perry. They put Walmart to shame as far as lighting. They light up my whole entire house. My bedroom, living room, around the 2nd and 3rd floor. Their Alexa is so loud you can hear it 2 blocks over. So I think as far as that, the guidelines kind of should be like your property. Her cameras are, they see me coming in and out of my own house. There's no privacy at all. She has audio and video, so she hears everything that goes on in a 3-block radius of town. So I'm thinking as far as that, like, it should be your property. There's no reason that her lights and her Alexa should be on my side of the road and I should set it off coming in and out of my house. Because it is, and that thing goes off. It does not matter if a cat walks down that sidewalk, that thing blares. And I do suffer PTSD, so I get a little bit of problems. At 3 in the morning when her spotlight goes off, I have a 3rd floor bedroom and I do have the room darkening curtains. Her light shines through that like there are sheer curtains. There's shadows on my wall. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with PTSD, but you have the fight or flight. Unfortunately, mine is the fight. So my instincts right away is to destroy whatever is creating that chaos in my life. Thankfully, my husband is more, hold me down, don't go do it. As I explained to the chief, there's me and my bat, and we're going to go take out the issues that's causing me harm. And the chief is well aware of this address. It does not get any better. They if you walk down the sidewalk and set yourself off, they come out screaming and yelling and you're trespassing and all that. So, and basically my guideline is I think it should be the edge of their sidewalk is where their stuff should cut off because the street is not their property. My house is not their problem. If my house gets broken into, that's my issue. I'm not expecting you as my neighbor to protect my, my property. So,
Thank you, ma'am.
just, if you're welcome, just as part of the guidelines where maybe we should make that ordinance a little bit better.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
So these questions along from Second Street, they're not tied into their security system?
They are.
They are?
Yes.
So we do have the first free or free after that you pay, right? I have a letter I received home from my home, so.
Only if they're dispatched to them. So the security company's not dispatched.
Yeah, this isn't tied into a central station per se, yes,
Just their internal.
right.
Is there anyone else that did not sign up that would like to speak? No? All right. Minutes for approval, could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for January 9th, 2024?
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Murphy, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for January 9th, 2024. I did find, I did need to have a change made. The one that was in your packet said that we adjourned to executive session, and that was not accurate, so I did have that removed from the minutes. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? No, then I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Murphy, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for January 9th, 2024. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Presentation and acceptance of reports. I'd like to acknowledge the finance report for December 2023 and acknowledge the fourth quarter 2023 lien report. Are there any questions? Sharon?
I probably should understand this, but I don't think I do. The 2023 detail expenditure year analysis. All the line items that have like a minus sign or negative sign beside them, are they all things that went over budget?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm counting roughly then about 80 of them that went over budget. Is there a reason we ended up like that for so many? I mean, I could see some. And the other part, what you asked about on page 8, would Columbia Pat Action Team fall under the contributions?
Not for this year. I don't change the budget once it's done, so that stayed under the category that it was under. It would have been under contributions. It was under TNR up under 413. Yeah, it's on page 5 at the very, so that's where the CAT action team stayed. Yes, that's correct.
All right, very good.
So Sharon, just a quick comment. For many years, the actual budget was amended several times throughout the year to show that an overage was happening and to make a correction. That's one way of doing it, but we've decided that we are not doing that, and we're keeping the original budget numbers in there. And then if we go over, then for the next year's budget, we look at these things and say, okay, maybe we under budgeted. Maybe some things we didn't plan on at the beginning of the year ended up being appropriately put in that category, etc. So there are probably a number of reasons, but it helps us to now evaluate and look at each line item specifically when we start developing the next budget to say, hey, listen, we got to look at each item that goes over and evaluate why.
I understand that. I mean, I certainly would have expected some would have went over, but I was just surprised at many. All right, thank you.
If I may, Madam President.
Sure.
Mark, what you said to me is spot on. It's something we talked about. In my previous world, that's the way we worked. As a matter of fact, we even took it one step further. If you went over budget, you had to do what we call a budget explanation.
Yeah.
We had to explain why to our boss why we went over budget, and then at the end of the year you made those changes. If you were in the if the bottom line, you were still in the black, that was okay. But you can't see what's working and what's not working until you see where the rocks are. And when you see those pieces in the budget, as you said, that are over budget, then you look at them and you justify, did we budget too low, or did we overspend, or what have you, and what do we do to stop that? So I applaud you and the finance department for doing that, because that's how we get better. In my world, that's the way it worked. So thank you.
Thanks, man.
Just have a question regarding the liens. Is there anything new, I mean, there's that last circle council up there, 19, that we can do, because I know a lot of these are.
Yes, absolutely.
I noticed there's one property in particular, a couple that were sold, so the lien should have been satisfied when it was sold, so can you go back to them now?
Absolutely, those liens remain of record, after, if the private is not satisfied, it attaches to the property, so. What we have been doing is sending out reminder letters, because some of these liens are obviously, they're getting pretty old at this point. So what we've done is kind of send out reminder letters. I will say that the pace of collecting on these liens has slowed down a little bit because the real estate market has slowed down a lot. When we first took over this and were working on these, the real estate market, every house was getting 10 offers on it, and so they were getting paid off pretty quickly. But in a lot of these cases, and I'm not sure I've ever seen so many liens that transferred ownership. I don't know if it's a lot of cash deals or what the deal is, why this is happening, but we're not getting contacted, the borough's not getting contacted. So we're trying to take care of that. We let the local realtors know and things like that.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was concerned about, how it was a miss.
Yes.
Not that it was a miss
Yeah.
on our part.
No, yeah, if somebody doesn't get title insurance or have a mortgage, then sometimes it just doesn't get paid. But it's still, the new owner that it's responsible for, which is not something you normally want to figure out after you've bought a house. So, yeah.
And then I thought in order to gain title or do that transaction, all liens had to be satisfied.
That's probably what it would normally say in the agreement of sale, but if you don't get title insurance or have someone do a title search, it doesn't always happen, unfortunately. There's nothing in the law that says in order to transfer property, you have to clear all of the liens.
So that would lead me to think that a lot of these realty transfers are being done person to person rather than through a bank or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or, they're not getting title insurance.
Yeah.
Because a title insurance would require all
that's what I
liens to be
thought.
satisfied,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely, yeah. And all of these liens are recorded, they're all, so any title search should find them. But, yeah.
I'm concerned there are some of these from 2004, which makes this year 20.
Yes. Something we've got to address,
So we're gonna have to address that sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Are we gonna start executing on some of these?
Yep, absolutely, yep.
And,
That's a
my thing
decision.
is, we've already made the decision to execute on,
The largest ones that you
on
have.
a large one.
Yes.
The Lancaster Avenue properties.
Is correct, yep,
So,
so.
Is there a total?
There is at the bottom of yes, you guys had asked us to put that on there, so, the total amount is, just short of $30,000, or $29,288. Yeah.
but
And,
that's just for the lien part.
yes, not.
That doesn't include the fees that it's gonna take to satisfy them and everything
Yeah.
else.
But in the looking at that compared to the total budget or to the burden of the taxpayer, that's not a large amount.
No.
That would say we should spend money, quite a bit of money to go after it.
And, and now you would, should you.
But you would collect the
Correct. Yes, up front you would be out the money for the sheriff's sale, which is what we would do to execute, but you would get paid back that through the sheriff's sale. That's kind of your, I don't want to say, but that's kind of your hammer here, right? Is that, like, yes, these are most of them with the exception of, I mean, 2 of these liens against the same people are 20,000 of the 29,000 that are outstanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is why we're.
That's the one we should look at.
That's the one we're executing on.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it rubs me wrong that taxpayers are paying taxes and some people are getting away with that.
Absolutely.
That's not fair.
Exactly. And that is why the law is written such that once you file a municipal lien, any collection costs, including reasonable attorney's fees, all the filing fees and things like that, are the responsibility of that individual property owner. So that way, the rest of the taxpayers who are doing what they're supposed to be doing are not responsible to pick up the tab for someone who's, kind of cheating the system, if you will.
That's good.
Like that's, and it is, I can tell you, these liens that are, a lot of your liens are between $100 and $500 on this list. By the time a lien is filed and we have to satisfy it, you probably double to triple that amount easily. So, it's one of those things where.
Or more.
Exactly, yeah, or more.
So there's some liens.
And I was kind of getting at that, but then telling me that 20 of the 29 we're already executing on, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So there's some liens on there, like they're for $50 or less.
Yeah.
The total value right now that they owe the borough is over $400 to $500.
Yeah.
It keeps going up, and part of that, honestly, is the law allows us to charge interest on the amount owed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get excited about them, but I wouldn't forgive them.
Right, and so we try to negotiate with these owners and say, listen, if you pay,
Well,
we
you can't
can,
carry them till Tuesday, you mean.
you can only carry them 20 years.
Carry them 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, we're getting there.
if we don't execute on it, then they get away with it.
Well, if it's 20 years, they've racked up enough interest that it's worth going after.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so that's a decision, we'll have to make, but, that is out there for sure. Yeah.
Evan, do you have any updates on the property on Lancaster Avenue?
Yeah. So we are in the process of merging those liens. There were 6 liens total filed against the 2 properties. There are 3 against each property. And so rather than, if we had not merged the liens, you'd literally have to do 6 sheriff sales, which you don't want to do. So we can merge those into one lien on each of the properties, 1115 and 1120 Lancaster Avenue, which is, we're in the process of doing. The sheriff needs to go out and serve that paperwork. And sometimes that will, drum up some, make
That's
people.
enough to
Exactly.
wake them up and
Yep.
say, whoa, I better pay this.
Exactly. And after that, if we don't hear anything, then that's when we would file for the sheriff's sale. Yeah. Yep.
I think that's when we'll start to see, oh, wow. They mean business.
Because I tell you that the payoff on those 2 liens is large. When you talk about interest for essentially 18 years on an amount that's $15,000, it adds up quickly.
Yeah, I have no bones about that.
Yeah.
The small ones, we need to let them mature, I'll say.
No, but that sidewalk installation and,
Yeah, when they're reaching 20 years, you gotta do something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yep.
So, all right.
I just have one question back on the finance report.
Okay.
Account number 01409-430, property tax expenses.
Mhm.
It was budgeted at 35,000 and was 70. I just help me out on what that is exactly.
That's all the properties owned by the borough, which would be the ones that were purchased throughout the year, plus McGinnis, which would have been partial year the prior year before.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was definitely.
thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns on finance reports? All right. Presentations, I have nothing scheduled. Mayor Lutz, Chief Bronner.
Yeah, I have one thing, and I'm sure people will remark to this, but a little bit of a story. I was at the doctor's office yesterday, and the one receptionist, lives out of Columbia. And she said to me, hey, your Public Works Department, your Highway Department did one heck of a job in these last 2 snows. She said, I gotta tell you, I get into Columbia and the streets were in great shape, absolutely great shape. So Jake, people are taking notice to what you're doing, and thank you.
I second that.
Chief, you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
Mayor, I'll just add to that. I got a few emails from business owners as well that said the same thing. They come from an outside area, they come into town, as soon as you crossed into town, they knew they were in Columbia because the roads looked so good.
Yes, they did.
Which is a compliment to Jake and his team and the crew and the hard work they did.
Yeah, my son works outside of town. He came in, he said, Mom, the roads were horrible getting home. But as soon as I hit Columbia, I was like, oh, this is great.
Yep.
All right. Action items. The only item we have is the authorization to pay bills. Could I have a motion to approve the bill payments?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman and a second by Councilperson Stahl to approve the bill payments. I do want to note that there were 2 additions to that today. It was one of those things where we just literally yesterday got invoices for the officer that we have that started at the academy. We got the tuition and
The uniform.
uniform.
She already started, right?
Yeah,
So
she already
she's
started.
already started, so they're just very late, so I'm
Yeah.
sending them.
They called me today and asked if I would be okay if we put that check in here tonight. And I said I would because we only have so long to get that reimbursement from the state for the tuition, so we gotta do that tonight. Are there any questions on the bill payments? Now I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize the bill pays. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? New business. We received the resignation from Hope Byers from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, so I'd like to acknowledge that and accept that. We need to accept that, correct?
You have to.
Do I have a motion to accept the resignation of Hope Byers?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl to approve the resignation of Hope Byers from Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. All in favor? Aye.
Just in case anyone doesn't know, she was appointed a position, a vice presidency, so it wasn't for any other reason than that.
Right.
She moved up.
Yeah, she moved up and she doesn't have she's not in the same place she was to participate in our Parks and Rec Board. Yeah, I wasn't saying anything because I thought we were letting them, I thought we were going to let them talk about it when they came in with their thing. But we do thank Hope for the time she did spend on the Parks and Rec Board. And we know we'll still be seeing her around. So, all in favor to accept that resignation? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, we have Resolution 2024-08, appointing Megan Salvatore to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. This is replacing Hope. On that board.
She's here.
Yeah, I know, I see her. And I got my glasses on, I can see that in the back of the room now. And Megan's actually going to be the new Hope. She's taken Hope's spot, so the new Hope. Does anyone have any questions? We good to take action? Want to make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-08? Your motion in that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Fisher to adopt resolution 2024-08, appointing Megan Salvatore to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
All Next, we have a contract with Landmark SGA LLC to complete the resurvey of the Columbia Historic District. Mark, do you want to go through, walk us through this?
Sure. As you guys remember, last fall, we put an RFP out to do the resurvey of the historic district. And we have a grant from the State Historic Preservation Office for $20,000. And we're eligible to apply for a grant each year now that we're a certified local government. So our plan was to break the survey up into probably 3 segments and do it over the next 3 years to get it all done. And the first 2 proposals that we got in were, one was 85, the other one was close to $100,000 to get all this work done. We're like, yeah, we're going to have to break this up into pieces to get it done. We got a third offer for just under $40,000. And we're like, okay, wow, that's a big difference. So before we jump in and accept it, we want to just make sure that this company is qualified. So Jessica Fieldhouse called all the references that they listed in their report. And all of them spoke very highly of this firm, the work that they do and the quality of the work. So then we decided, hey, you know what? Instead of trying to break this up over the next 3 years and stretch it out for that amount of money, considering half of it's covered by the state, if we can add to it, we had budgeted $5,000. If we can add to that the rest of the money to do this, we can get it done in one shot. And then we've already begun the process to apply for the grant for this year, and we'd like to then use this year's grant money to begin developing the design guidelines to get out to the historic district. We know that that's been an ongoing issue to get this educational material out there, to have people understand what their house is, the significance of their building, the architectural style that it is, the pieces and parts that go with that building, and what makes it appropriate, what keeps it historic, etc. So we'd like to move forward a little faster, get the historic resurvey done, and then start this year with the grant, either this year or next year, with the grants awarded, begin working on that educational material. The big advantage of getting the survey done this time is the state's process requires that these surveys be uploaded to them in a digital format, basically a GIS format. So that would allow us to have all of the records, the photography, the historical records, all preserved and easily searchable, findable. If you go to my office now, you'll see a large book in there that's a photocopy of a photocopy of the summary of the original survey. And there's a whole lot more information that is part of the original survey card that's done on each property. And this way, all that information will be gathered together in one location. I think it's going to be a more useful tool for us to use going forward. The other nice advantage is all that can then be available to the public. And they can go on and they can look up their house. They can see when it was built, the year it was built, the architect who did it. If we have them, if Chris has them in his catalog, we'll have some historic photos uploaded for them to see. And I think it makes a better tool altogether. So, long explanation. All that to say is we'd like to go ahead and change the budget, if you will, increase the contribution this year from $5,000 to $20,000, and get the survey done in one shot.
Mark, that's something that I think hurt the Historic Review Board, is that people who lived in the historic district had no idea of how their house fit in there. And that caused some problems. Now, what you're telling me, I think it's fantastic. They'll be able to have that. They could even download it, keep it as a keepsake of their home. Mm-hmm. And it's also a selling point. Mm-hmm. Realtors or whoever buying a home will be able to go in and search that home and see where it's at and what's said about it, so that when they start this remodeling that we run into all the time, they'll see that these are important features that they need to keep.
Right.
So I think that's going to be a wonderful tool.
Yeah, and we'd love to just get it done, completed this year. I think it's gonna be beneficial to us.
So does this whole process include what you just said about the uploading
Yeah.
and all of that being on a,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the last survey was done back, the last full survey was done back in the 1980s. The county did they call a windshield update, where they just kind of drive through and they get a few pictures of it and they reevaluate. But that wasn't done with professionals certified in historic preservation. It was a good tool, it's useful, but it's time for a full resurvey of the entire district and get it all done, get it done right.
And this will allow us to have them mark something as contributing or not contributing.
Correct.
So that when we put the design guidelines in, we can say if you're non-contributing, then, you
The
know,
standards are a little different.
these are
Yeah.
your standards. If you're contributing, they're much more stringent.
Right.
So Tammy, where's the extra 20,000 going to come from?
This is the first I'm hearing about this, so I don't know.
So the one that we proposed is, we still have a fund balance in our ARPA account. And because we did the resolution 2 years ago to use it as lost revenue, it can be pulled into the general fund and used for things that benefit the community as a whole. So I feel like this meets that criteria and intent of that money to use it to get this done.
What was the difference that you saw when examining the different quotes as far as like, was there any difference in the level of detail or the level of research that these firms were going to put into this project, that they came out so different?
Yeah, there was some. Richard Graven Associates is the firm that the borough had looked at back in 2019 when we looked at expanding the historic district. I think their goal was to dig deeper into each property and to find more information. I'll be honest, the one thing about Landmark SGA is I think they're looking to get a few of these projects under their belt so they can market themselves to do this work.
That's what I was
So
wondering.
sometimes a firm like that will undercut a little bit and use it as a training tool. They have all the qualified professionals to do all this on their staff, so I think they're looking at it to get into this work because more and more small towns and communities are going after these funds to help preserve these historic structures. So I think they're just trying to get one in so they can jump on this.
Yeah.
But they explain the whole process they want to do, and everything in their proposal makes sense. They've done it before for other things, so they're ready to go.
I mean, it looks very well laid out, like the proposal that they have.
Yeah.
Refresh my memory, did we have the ARPA funding that was left? Did we discuss anything else? Did we have earmark for anything else?
For the debt reduction, that's in the budget. There's 300,000 of the ARPA funds to go towards the debt.
The debt reduction, and would this tap into any of that?
No, there's still additional funds in there.
There is some funds in there, yeah.
Not a lot, but I think these are the kind of projects I think would be good to wrap that up. And again, the ARPA funds either have to be spent or committed by the end of this year.
Okay.
And we're also trying to make sure we stay under
750,000.
750,000 of federally funded money.
a year.
Before, yes, a year, or there will be.
All
money.
All,
Not just
yeah.
one
Or it
source.
triggers a special audit.
There's a special audit that has to happen, which I'd rather not have that thing.
We would rather not do that.
That's the first thing every auditor asked me when I interviewed them, was, did we spend that much money in 2023? And I said, no, we did not. Yeah. Not my first year. Just saying.
No, she harped on me on that. I guess when we would meet, now we can't do this this year, because
That's right. That's
we
right.
gotta stay under 750, okay, okay. All right, are there any other questions on the, yes, Frank?
Good evening. Does the completing a resurvey, does that take care of the boundaries too?
So, I think I understand what you're asking. Back in 2019, we talked about expanding the historic district. Is that what you mean?
No, I'm talking about the property going to,
The property line.
doing the property lines, the boundaries.
The boundaries of each property?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so that's one part of it, won't be in there.
No, that would take a significant amount of work to resurvey each parcel, to reset the pins and everything. That would be an extreme cost.
Well, when you said the resurvey, I didn't know
Oh.
exactly what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
not survey in terms of set property boundaries, but survey is in terms of evaluate the house, to look at the year it was built, the condition of the house, how much of it has been altered since, that type of survey, not a boundary survey.
Style,
Yeah, I can see this helping, but from some of the meetings that I attended on the historic district, the rules haven't been followed. So regardless how you redo this, what you're doing here, if they're not going to follow the rules, what good is it? We're wasting money. And just from what I
Sure.
attended, I just sitting there watching. There's gonna be chicken wire for a fence that says no, and they end up doing it. And the property brings one hell of a price and it sells. And I don't understand.
Okay, understand.
Thank you.
All right, did we want to make a motion to authorize staff to sign this contract with Landmark this evening, or do we need to wait?
I'm ready.
Anyone have any reservations? Would anyone like to make a motion to authorize staff to contract with Landmarks SGA LLC to complete the resurvey of the Columbia Historic District?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl, to authorize staff to contract with Landmark SGA LLC to complete the resurvey of the Columbia Historic District. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Next, we have a contract with Commonwealth Code Inspection Service to provide part-time zoning officer. We have a contract with them before. Mark, did you want to take it away on this one as well?
Absolutely. So, in looking at getting the position of the zoning officer filled, we have received 2 applications. We feel like we want to look, and it's been said here in other meetings that this is a very important position. We want to get the right people in there. We have used Commonwealth Code previously. If you remember, they were here. Karen, did you start in 2020, I think it was, or 2019? It was 2020, right?
2020.
Right when Jeff Helm left,
Yes.
Karen came in, and she's here,
Yep.
obviously.
I said I remembered her.
So, we would like to use this path again, and Karen's here. She's actually going to be the initial one who will be coming in and stepping into this role. And we think it's a good way for us to keep that position going until such time as we get someone in here to fill it.
I'm questioning, like, in comparison with what Jessica is doing, like, can you clarify the difference between the two? And
So she'll be doing a lot of what Jessica was doing. C.S. Davidson is still going to take the lead on the subdivision land development reviews as they've done in the past. And Jessica will still be helping with that. She'll be helping us with some of the grants that we go after. The CSD takes the lead on. Jessica helps us with our floodplain reporting that has to happen. Karen's role is going to be taking in to look primarily at reviewing zoning permits and reviewing building permits for zoning compliance.
so Jessica will still remain an employee of the borough?
No, Jessica was never an employee of the borough. She was always an employee of C.S. Davidson. We had her just as a consultant.
But we'll still be putting the extra funding in to have her in that position?
No, that funding won't be needed as much
Okay.
because that we budgeted to have her present in that position for a significant amount of time for this year. Some of that funding then will be shifted over to help, and we budgeted for a zoning officer position, so we'll have to look at that, but Karen would be filling in the role that would be taken out of the budgeted line item for the zoning officer.
Mark, is Commonwealth still doing our commercial?
They do all the building permits, yeah. Absolutely. They do residential and commercial properties.
Yeah. We had a good relationship with them, and Karen did a great job for us.
Yeah.
Before, prior to Karen Zeno, so.
Karen, do you also work for another, do you also work at zoning elsewhere?
Yeah, I do 4 other.
Karen, sorry, can you,
For
can you come
other,
up? So we're recording the meeting so they can hear you.
Yeah, they have me flying around. I do 4 other municipalities in Dauphin. I do some in Dauphin, and I go to Northumberland County too, so.
okay.
Yeah, it's Karen,
Name's changed since then.
Yay.
Got a lot easier. It's Brown. My last name is now Brown.
all right.
A lot easier to spell.
So, any other questions for Karen, for Mark on Commonwealth Code?
So this agreement be just with Commonwealth, so in case Karen, it could be Karen.
It could be anyone, it just, they will provide zoning officer services, and they have somebody else on staff who may be helping out as well, so.
Yeah, and any time frame set or just?
So we are working forward right now to get that position refilled. The council did approve in the budget for 2024 another full-time position for the code department. So we're looking at how we can bring in somebody who can help out with code enforcement as well as help with zoning. So we're working on that now. But for now, I think this would be a great fit for us. Yeah.
So is she committed to so many hours a week?
So we'll work that out, Frank, but yes, still, and like we did last time, Karen, I think you were here like 2 days a week within office hours, and then outside of the regular office hours, available by email or phone calls should something come up. And that's the same way we had it with Jessica when she was here.
And she will cover the zoning hearing board if there's zoning hearing board, if there's a hearing, and she also helps to cover Barb if necessary.
Yeah.
So that gives her extra hours that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. At what salary?
We will be paying them $65 an hour for this service.
Up to 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's part of the contract, Frank, that's in the packet.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
So I just a thought, just with what was just spoken, would it be less expensive to hire a part-time and not have to pay that in between service?
If we could find somebody,
someone,
yeah.
yes.
Have you advertised? You have?
Yeah.
We've been searching for a while. They're hard to find. And as a matter of fact, when I looked at the paper a week ago Sunday, there's other municipalities that are looking for similar positions, and they're very difficult to fill right now.
We're very rare.
Yeah.
I was just saying tonight, I think that could be a good retirement gig for me.
There you go.
So,
How long have you been advertising?
since September.
Yeah,
Since
since
September?
Sharon last,
Since
October, I think we
Yeah.
had the ad in the
Yeah.
paper, so.
oh yeah,
We've been
And you've
looking.
had no,
we had 2 resumes, that's
but
it.
no
Yeah.
follow through?
Yeah,
And
they're
as
not
we,
really qualified.
right, as we discussed the happenings of this position, like recognizing we want someone who's gonna be here long-term and can provide consistency over time to this, because it's, if you have, even if you would hire quickly, if we would hire quickly and then have to change again, it's like another inconsistency for our residents, so.
Yep. Yeah. Alright. Any other questions? Will we have to do a resolution then to name them as our zoning officer?
Yeah.
So we'll do that at the next
Just
meeting then?
I was gonna get her approved tonight, and then we'll have them appointed as zoning officer.
Okay, I just realized that, I'm like, wait a minute, so that's how we do that. And then we have to close that door with Jessica, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I have it right in my head, so I know what to look for on the next agenda.
Right.
All right. Did anyone want to make a motion this evening to authorize staff to contract with Commonwealth Code Inspection Services to provide a part-time zoning officer?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman and a second by Councilperson Stoll to authorize staff to contract with Commonwealth Code Inspection Service to provide a part-time zoning officer. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
I'm just going to say no because I just would just think I need more time to think about it.
Thank you.
Next. Yep. Thank you, Karen. Next, we have a proposal from Cohen Law Group to prepare a right-of-way management ordinance that would be consistent with several municipalities within the limit. Mark, you want to give us background on this one as well?
So we use Cohen Law Group currently. They do our franchise agreement for Comcast. They have developed sort of a niche market in doing these right-of-way ordinances and contracts, franchise agreements. And one of the things they're working on now is helping municipalities to improve their overall right-of-way ordinances. If you remember, I believe it was either last year or 2022, we did the small cell ordinance amendment to allow for the small repeater or antennas that you put on utility poles, etc. Those are the type of things that are coming now that are having a direct impact within a public right-of-way. And so what they are looking to do is the LIMC, the Lancaster Intermunicipal Committee, brought them in, and they said that they would be willing to work with as many municipalities within that region together to write, I don't want to say parallel ordinances, but write similar ordinances tailored to each municipality so that there is some commonality across these ordinances, so that people working within the right-of-ways have a similar view. The last one they did here was with Lancaster City. Some of the things that were put into the ordinance have been challenged in court, and the court did overturn some of the items. Unfortunately, this is the way forming new law in Pennsylvania works sometimes, but the lessons learned from that, I think, have provided valuable information as to know what the courts will tolerate in developing these new ordinances. So the advantage to us is there is a bit of economy of scale in them doing multiple ordinances at the same time, so there would be a savings for us. So this ordinance cost $3,840 per municipality to do this. And Evan and I talked about it last year. We think it's a good idea because kind of like in a similar vein, the nuisance ordinance, it takes all these things in the right of way and brings them into one ordinance and makes it easier to administer. So I'd like to, we recommend that we move forward with this and join this team and get this going this year.
And I will just say that the Cohen Law Group knows more about telecommunications law, or has forgotten more about telecommunications law in the last 2 minutes than I could know if I researched it for the next 3 years. So they are experts in this area. So if anybody's going to do it, I think they're certainly the person or the firm to do it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I think it's good. Another benefit, I think, too, like I said, is it's a regional thing more than just us. So
Yeah.
It's not like we're trying to, you know, if you have to go to court, it's a little easier to that when, you know, there's others that are doing the same thing.
Mhm.
How would this differ from what we already spent money to develop?
It's going to, and I think that's why the price seems a little low to get a whole new ordinance in. They're going to take what we have and what all the other municipalities have. But there's new things coming, such as the small cell. I can't remember the other one that we're the new high-speed lines. They don't fall under the same category as Comcast. So you have to have new language in there to be able to help regulate these new companies like Brightspeed and Glow Fiber and the other ones that are coming into these communities now.
And that wasn't covered.
It's not.
No, yeah, what we did was just a small cell facility,
So these things are changing quickly, and I think getting all this stuff in the one ordinance and getting all the updated with current case law and changes in statutes, such as the franchise agreement, which I'm working with Cohen on the other side. Our franchise agreement is up this year with Comcast, and the federal laws have changed on that. And where in the past they had to offer certain services free, they don't have to do that anymore. So we're in the beginning stages of renegotiating that contract this year. So it's just a lot of moving targets. So I guess how to look at it, I think it's just having all that currently up to date as of this year. I mean, laws are constantly changing. I think with the changes in technology and in communications, and like somebody said, 20 years ago, you might have had one or two devices connected to the Wi-Fi in your office. Now, I don't even want to guess how many things are trying to connect to the access point here. I mean, it's the amount of data that we're sending back and forth is growing exponentially. And so I think keeping up with all that is important, and protecting our right-of-ways is important.
Are there any other questions? Did anyone want to make a motion this evening, or did we want to wait on this one? You'll move that we approve the proposal from Cohen Law Group to prepare a right-of-way management ordinance?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilperson Brevard, second by Councilperson Murphy, to approve the proposal from Cohen Law Group to repair a right-of-way management ordinance that would be consistent with several municipalities within the LIMC. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
And next we have the special event application for Ashley Tabernacle for the annual river baptism ceremony. This is pretty standard. I don't think we need to hold off on this. We good on, who would like to make a motion to approve the special event application for Ashley Tabernacle?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilperson Fisher, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the special event application for Ashley Tabernacle for the annual river baptism ceremony. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, we have to authorize staff to sell borough-owned land located on the east side of Blue Lane and at 740 South 12th Street at a public auction. There was nothing in the packet on this. So.
No, it's just, these are the lands that the borough has, we've discussed several times. Evan and I just thought it'd be best just to have it as a formal action that we move forward and get a real estate auctioneer to come in and sell those two properties. The one on Blue Lane is, I'll say, the east side of the Borough Farm. Those 26 acres we got subdivided off, and all that was recorded and done. The other property is part of the land that we bought as part of the McGinnis acquisition, and that's a separately deeded parcel on South 12th Street that we've talked about. Right at the end of South 12th Street before it does that dog leg and bends east.
It's right there by the Wickenheiser property?
Correct.
Okay.
And everything about that property, it just seems like it would distract from the residential nature of 12th Street to turn it into any part of the industrial park. So I feel like just, we can sell that piece off, keep it residential, and that's it, keep it in the neighborhood there and liquidate those two. I know we've talked about it, council has had that, but we thought take formal action tonight just to authorize us to get those sold.
And we do have appraisals to know where to set the reserve.
So the appraisal we have for the McGinnis property, we may have to reevaluate because that was done all as the industrial land when we purchased it. We may want to get that one redone just so we know the value of this one.
Yeah, but we will set a reserve, correct?
Yeah.
And then it'll be like before where if we don't get a bid that meets the reserve,
We can reject it.
we will reject it and we can put it out for bid again. We have to put it out for auction twice or just once before we can?
Twice.
So we would have to do 2 auctions and then we can sell it.
Sell it through a realtor. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when Wickenheiser was here talking about her property on 12th Street. I'm trying to remember what she talked about. If you remember, does this have anything that would affect her in any way?
No, it's, if you could pull up a map, she's around the corner from this one. So where 12th Street comes down and bends and heads east, she is right on the southern portion of that. This will be on the western side of the road as you go down. It's the last big woodlot right there. They're sort of catty corner from each other, but it doesn't touch. And we actually have the McGinnis property actually comes out and it touches 12th Street. So they're not adjacent properties. They're separated by the right of way.
If we move to authorize this, will you just go ahead and advertise, or do we have to then approve who you're selling it through?
I think at that point we would get an auctioneer and sell it, right? Do we have to bring that forward?
Yeah. I think you guys, well, it's up to you, to be
Yeah, I
honest
don't think
with you. If you want to, approve the auctioneer, we could bring that back to you guys. If you're just okay with authorizing it to be sold by auction and allowing the staff to, choose who they believe is the best auctioneer to get this sold, that's up to you guys. So, I could see it going either way there.
But once that gavel falls on the auction, that's it. It doesn't come back to us.
Right, yeah. If we meet the reserve or exceed it, then the property's sold.
The only reason I was asking if we had to do this twice, we should just combine it into one motion.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yes, Frank?
The land on Good Lane, is that where the barn was?
Yes.
Yes.
It was, okay. Does anybody have an idea, especially the council people, on how much land, what the boundaries are? Does this have to be resurveyed?
It already was surveyed, Frank, and it was technically part of the total farm, the Borough Farm property. So last year, we had it subdivided off, and that subdivision plan has been recorded and new deeds have been created. So now it's a separate parcel of about 26 point some acres of land.
Yeah, we've been working on this for about a year.
You're talking about the one that they want to buy next door. There's a landowner that's on the other side of the road.
No.
So this piece. No,
We're
this
talking
piece.
about where the barn was.
Yes.
I'm not sure where the,
Yes.
okay, yeah, before my time, but it's on the east side. It's not on the yard waste recycling side of the road, it's the other side.
Up on the other side.
Up on the hill.
How many acres did you say?
26 acres over there.
I'm sorry.
26.
26 acres over there?
Yeah.
Goes down the railroad track.
Unbelievable.
It goes all the way over to the adjacent farm, and then it goes all the way down to the creek and the railroad tracks. It's a good sized piece.
And the piece of property that's on the McGinnis, how many square feet or how big is that?
It's about a third of an acre-ish. Half.
We're certainly big enough for the house.
Oh, yeah, plenty big.
It would have been nice if you had a diagram so we had an idea what that was.
Sure. I probably should have put that in there, Frank, sorry.
I would like to have a date to make a motion.
What do you mean?
Well,
You want to go to dinner?
yeah. No, it just seems odd that we would say, yeah, put it up for sale, and then
Right.
we don't know when it's actually up for sale.
That is, that's the tough part, is because we don't have an auctioneer at this point. We have to work with an auctioneer to get a date set for the auction. So you could say, we'll authorize you to sell this via auction sometime prior to, I don't know, May 31st or something like that, or March 31st, or whatever you wanted to choose. But I don't think we can have a certain date at this point until we talk to.
But didn't we have conflict before where people weren't aware of sale dates and stuff?
We would, I mean.
We would have to advertise it. I mean, it would be
Yeah, it would be advertised. Yeah, once we set a date, it would be advertised, and I would hope that the auctioneer and the borough on its website, things would make sure that.
Perhaps we can say, this motion would be to authorize,
Getting a contract with the auctioneer.
to contract with an auctioneer to sell this, and then come back once we have that and,
Confirm date.
a confirmed date.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Because then we'll have numbers too.
Yeah, we have rough ideas now, but we'll lock those in.
I mean, I don't know that we really want to.
I'm not talking property numbers.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
talking costs, everything else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't think we really.
a new assessment.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll get that.
I know that.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, you don't want to advertise that because that puts us in a bad position.
No, I'm talking auctioneer costs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
So, do we want to make a motion this evening to authorize staff to contract with an auctioneer to sell the borough-owned land located on the east side of Blue Lane and the property at 740 South 12th Street at a public auction with the date to be determined at a future meeting?
I have another question. So, I think that it would be good if we would see numbers as to how much it would cost before we just approve that we're gonna sell through an auctioneer, so to speak. Like,
Well, typically,
It's a percentage of the value.
it's a percentage of the sale, and the person.
is that a set percentage though across?
Generally, I would say somewhere between 3 and 6%. A lot of that's very similar to
Real estate.
A realtor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but on the 26 acres, 3 to 6% makes a big difference too, so
Right.
that's the only thing that I'm thinking of.
Well, but we wouldn't know the actual number.
Right, no, we won't.
But we'll know the
I'm
percentage.
just saying,
Yeah.
before
Okay.
we commit to a certain auctioneer to know what that percentage is.
So maybe we just authorize staff to find an auctioneer.
I guess the motion is to
Bring that as a proposal back.
Right.
So, Eric, you want to make a motion to authorize staff to look for an auctioneer to conduct an auction?
Yes.
Make that motion.
All right, and who wants to second that?
I'll say.
All right, I have a motion by Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stoll, to authorize staff to get numbers on an auctioneer.
And to be clear, the two methods we can do is by public auction or in sealed bid. And I just feel like this one, it just makes sense to hold it as a public auction to get as many bidders in as possible for these two pieces of ground, because they're very usable, buildable land.
Frank? Sorry, I had to get through I didn't wanna like lose my train of thought, and I wanted to make sure Laurie got the
It
motion.
happens to me, and I should have saw this when I was up here. And this is for my information, so I can kind of learn here. In the past, we had put property up for sale for so many days to make an offer. Now, we're doing this different with an auctioneer, so what makes this property different than other properties?
Mark just said that. I mean, we can do it,
I'm sorry, I missed.
yeah, we can do public auction or sealed bid. Last time we did sealed bid and we didn't get,
Didn't get good,
we
didn't get
didn't
responses.
we didn't get good responses, so then and then after you do the sealed bid twice, you can sell it through a realtor. This time we decide rather than do sealed bids, we're gonna do a live auction because these it's just, these are more buildable, you know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So this time we're gonna do the live auction. If we do not have a response or acceptable response the first time, we would have to do it again. And then if we still did not meet the reserve or whatever, then we could sell it through a realtor like we did before.
Very good. I appreciate that. And on the other side of the road, that land, where does that stand?
Which other side, which road?
On the other side of Blue Lane?
Blue Lane,
That's the yard waste recycling facility, and that part will retain in borough's ownership.
Yeah.
The people at the bottom wanted to buy that.
They did.
You mean the pond?
Oh, the pond.
The pond sold.
No.
The recycling?
Across the other side of the road, down in the back, they wanted to make a reserve out of it.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's the piece we're selling.
That's the one we're selling, Frank.
That's the piece we're selling. The piece they wanted is the one we're selling.
Okay, but you said it was the left side of the road where the barn was. That's what I was.
Yes, yes, that's the piece they want.
He's talking
I
about.
thought it wanted it behind.
I don't know, I don't know.
By the,
Different building, different structure.
It's across the All American they described.
The old barn that was tore down,
Yeah, the old barn was torn down.
that's the piece that's gonna be sold, Frank. And that's the piece that the people that live down over the hill were interested in.
Okay, so just to get it straight with me, any land on the other side goes with that too.
No.
We subdivided that, Frank.
So Frank, if you could look at the screen, this may help up here. This area here is the yard waste recycling facility,
That's good.
okay?
Good.
The piece that we're selling is over here. It's this chunk of ground that sits right here on the east side of Blue Lane. This is 26 acres. We cut the pond off last year, and this piece Eric Draghi bought, and he owns this now and attached it to his house. So the 26 acres that remains here is the piece that's being sold.
Show me the road. Show me Blue Lane.
Blue Lane is right here. That road right here comes right down here. So this is where it connects into 441 or 41. You come up here, this is the driveway that leads back to the yard waste center, and this is all the property right here. So this Blue Lane's right here.
Yeah, I had trouble comprehending that. Thank you.
Do you know where I am now, Frank?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Right, now where was the barn? I'm still confused, where was the barn?
There's a little flat directly across from, right here.
Oh,
There's
right
the
here?
Hosteders.
Okay.
The whole center is right here. It's a little flat.
Jake was pointing it out.
Yeah, right there. Right where you are, right there, right there. Yeah.
Thank you. I just had to know, because I was like all invested in this barn now. Frank, you have me all invested. All right, so we have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, and a second by Councilperson Stahl to authorize staff to contact auctioneers for the sale of the Blue Lane and South 12th Street properties. Yes.
So are we gonna set a date, a meeting date, by when I can get back to us with those?
Oh, I'll get on right away. We'll try to get together in February.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
So you guys asked, this is the location of the property on South 12th Street. Barbara, this helps you. This is Susan Wickenheiser's house. This is the lot that we're selling off. It sits right here.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Next, we have a request from staff to change trash haulers for borough properties from Penn Waste to Gamby's Disposal Service. Penn Waste was formerly River Valley. We have been talking to Jack for a little bit now. It's been almost a year since we started talking to Jack. Jake, one thing I noticed on here, I said it to Mark today, not last year, the year before, when we were doing the budget, I had requested that we increase trash pickup in the parks from April to October to twice a week. And I don't see that reflected on here. I see all year as once a week.
It is once a week. We did pick that up twice a week, but there were several weeks where it just didn't work out. It was hit and miss, so we just kind of backed that off.
So can we make sure though that that we have adequate trash collection in the parks during the time that they are most active?
Right. I did talk to Jack about the Mako usually is the one that's a little bit of the issue.
Yes, that's specifically the one I'm
So
thinking about.
he will dump them cans on Mondays, but he is real close to that area on Thursday. So when they're back there, if they need dump, he'll dump them.
Okay, good.
Thursdays back there. So.
Why do you want to make the switch?
A couple reasons. One, in talking with Gamby, there will be a cost savings for the borough. Two, when River Valley was sold to Penn Waste, how to say this nicely, the level of service kind of isn't where it was before. So we feel like bringing it back into a local hauler is probably going to give us better service for the community. And again, this is just on borough-owned land that they collect here, the dumpster back to the market house or the parks, etc. So I just think it's a higher quality of service that we're looking for. Jake, do you have anything else to say?
Just one other thing, the street cans now get picked up on Tuesdays and Fridays. If Jack does it, they'll get done on Mondays and Fridays, which I think is
better. Yeah,
that's great.
With Stover's being Monday, Tuesday, and Friday.
Yes.
Do we have a quote from them for the service, or?
Yeah, it's in the
packet.
It's in your packet.
I missed it. It was
It's pretty much just about the last item in the packet.
Yeah. Bottom line, there are decent savings.
925.
Yep. Sounds good.
Do you enter into yearly contracts with them, or?
So Ed and I talked about that. We don't really have a contract with them per se. If we agree to do this, they'll honor the price they gave us.
So Penn Waste,
We never had one with River Valley. For years, we never had one.
I would say for you guys, if they don't want a contract, it's probably better to, especially with the number of trash haulers that you have around, it's not like you're gonna not have somebody picking up the garbage that's on the happen. So if they don't want to lock you into a long-term contract, I think you're just fine with that one in this situation.
Well, I mean, I see it as, Gamby, with him, I mean, our codes have called him when, you have a landlord that doesn't pay their trash bill, and we've got trash that needs picked up. I mean, Jack's always right there. He's, will jump in and grab stuff for us, and.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, did you want to share with the class? All right. Does anyone have any other questions, comments?
We answered them all.
You answered them all amongst yourselves? All right. I feel like a school teacher here. You want to share with class? Eyes on your paper, chief. All right. Did we want to make a motion this evening to authorize staff to change trash haulers from Penn Waste to Gamby's disposal service for the borough properties?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, Second by Councilperson Bernard, to authorize staff to change trash haulers for borough properties from Fenways to Gamby's disposal service. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we've been talking to Jack for about a year on that. So, all right. Next, staff reports, comments, and announcements. Solicitor Eagle.
Not too much additionally to report tonight. I will tell you that we are moving forward. There is the one thing that has been holding up the sale of 430 South Front Street, the old wastewater treatment plant, is the railroad crossing. We have found out now there has never been an agreement with Norfolk Southern to use that crossing, which is not a huge issue, I don't believe, but we've gotten the application for that. We're working on getting that into Norfolk Southern so we can get that moving along. So I'm really hopeful that we'll have that done by the end of this week for sure, and into them, and then we'll hopefully be able to move forward with that sale and get that taken care of. So that should be on the horizon here shortly. I'm very hopeful.
When is our lease up for the firehouse?
It is up in, Mark and I were just talking about
That should be this year, correct?
It is February. It's actually up in February.
So we can get a new.
Correct. Yeah, I've
And
started
we
working
can
on
get
that.
a fair one that is
Correct.
actually, and then that puts us in a better position to get that sold, correct?
Absolutely, correct. Yeah, Mark and I just talked about that on Friday, I think.
Because
So, yeah.
I'm sick of losing money on that property.
Yep, absolutely.
Every month we lose money on that property.
Yep.
All right. Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Stivers.
Thank you. Barb kind of started what I wanted to share, but with Megan here, I just wanted to say that there are some really positive changes going on down at Columbia Crossings. Hope has, like Barb said, has been promoted to, when I forget her title, is Vice President of Community Services or something like that. Yes, like that. So that's a great thing for her, and I sat down and met with Mark and Hope about this, and I think it's going to be a positive change. The other one is we worked with Megan for quite a while now, and it's exciting to see her now taking on a full-time role, and so she will be now the new manager, day-to-day operations down at Columbia Crossings. So it's exciting to see them grow and transition, and they'll be here in February to give their annual report and talk in more detail of all this. But with the new properties they've acquired, they see now that they need an oversight over all of these locations where there's public access, and then managers of each individual one to kind of manage the operations day to day. So I see this as a plus for us. It's one of our busiest park facilities that we have, so I see this as a good thing. Secondly, I know you guys get the Text My Gov notifications, which again, I checked the other day, the number of people signing up is continuing to increase, so that's a great thing. The work on Route 30, they're going to be doing more work this week and next week on the bridge. So there going to continue to be lane restrictions on there. Just advise people to be careful. And I'll send out the same plea again. The one thing that can make this stretch of highway safer is people slowing down, people driving carefully through that area. On a good day, it's still a challenge out there. With clear visibility and no hazards, there are still accidents, there's still people flying through there. So I just want to, again, encourage, we've talked about this, and I know, Todd, you brought it up, the best thing that we can do is get people now to slow down through that stretch, and that stretch being from York all the way into Lancaster City. There was an accident this morning on 30 westbound at Centerville Road, and it closed the road for about, I guess, an hour or so. And it's just, yeah, it backs everything up, and this is an important highway for us. It's a health and safety issue, so I just encourage everyone just to slow down coming down through there. Take your time and get through there safely. Secondly, on a related note, the Transportation Technical Advisory Committee met this week and is making the formal recommendation to the MPO that the funding, the major capital funding for this project be increased, as we talked about last time. So that will be going to the MPO. Your meeting is Monday. So that will again delay the 462 bridge reconstruction project for a few years. So I know you guys are aware of this. I say this more for the public, just to be aware that these bridge improvements are coming. We have to do the best that we can to be prepared for them. When the 462 bridge does shut down, traffic is going to increase on the 441 exit ramp, and we have to be prepared for that. It gets busy now during the morning and evening rush hours. I think we just have to be prepared for the fact that it's going to be even busier because all the traffic is going to divert around to it. So, again, it's the reality we deal with. It's a bridge we want to see restored, but I want to make sure that people traveling through the area are as safe as possible. So, if people learn to slow down now, people learn to be cautious coming through that stretch of the highway. Hopefully, we can have less accidents during the time that the 462 bridge is shut down. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right. Boards, commissions, and committees. In your packet, there are approved minutes for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. I also want to note that I attended the Civil Service Commission this month, and also last night I attended the HARB and reminded those two boards about their
Shade Tree last night.
Or Shade Tree, what did I say?
Harbor.
No, not Harbor, I went Shade Tree. Reminded them about Sunshine Act and their responsibilities on who needs to get the things so that it makes it better for all of us to stay in compliance. So I hope everyone else is visiting your boards and giving that reminder as well, so that we can make sure we don't have any issues. Borough Council comments. I'll start with Councilperson Burgard.
Nothing, thank you.
You shared it all with the mayor. Councilperson Fisher.
I would just like to say that I share Sharon's concern about the HARB canceling again. And I know we've talked about that a lot. We talked about reviewing their, I don't know if you call it policies, whatever it is they go by. But I was wondering if maybe if we have enough information and enough concern to make that a part of the work session to talk about HARB, or no?
Well, since they didn't have their meeting in January, they didn't reorganize them, correct? So where does that leave us? I mean,
What do you mean? They're not under the same laws as
they don't reorganize.
They-
I know most of the boards reorganize.
They do, and they'll stay. Like the planning commission didn't meet because of bad weather as well. They'll reorganize in February at the next meeting.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know what the answer is. I
Yeah.
mean, short of replacing people that.
Yeah, it's in the end, it's the chair's call. If they don't have a specific item on the agenda that is time sensitive, they can choose to cancel a meeting. It's the chair's
So that they're not
decision.
accountable to us in any way, or?
They're accountable to this board, but that the operational aspects of the meeting are up to that board. If the chairperson decides they want to cancel a meeting, they have that authority to do so.
So, I mean, short of replacing people on the board, that's the only recourse we have.
And I agree, I think,
Can we give recommendations, like
Sure.
recommend that they have?
Yes, we can.
That they have training sessions, like once, how often do
I
they meet,
believe
once a
we-
month, like once a quarter maybe,
I
or?
believe we have given those recommendations.
And
Yeah, but
we
they don't-
work with them to bring in some training. I think it needs to continue. I know Eric has brought this up many times. He wants to see the boards meeting and having these discussions, and I agree.
But like I said, unless we're willing to replace people that are willing to keep having those meetings and keep pushing that, That's our only recourse at this point.
And we can do that? We can just say you're not,
They, board members serve at the pleasure of council.
Yeah, for the most part, yes. Normal board, that's not quite.
Well,
the case,
right,
but Yes,
like-
but your board, your harbor, any of those boards, yes.
Right.
Yep.
Nothing, Eric?
As was already mentioned about Jake, thank you for the good work on the snow removal there. And if you were a subscriber of Text My Gov, I'm sure you got a notification about clearing your sidewalks off, and thanks to everyone who went ahead and got that done. And it was, yeah, fun having snow again.
To piggyback on that, Shade Tree Commission would like me to remind everyone, and if we can somehow get a reminder out, that sidewalk salt is not to be used as heavily as the snow. It damages sidewalks, it's not healthy for trees. You don't need 6 inches of it to fight 6 inches of rain, or to fight 6 inches of snow. So please be mindful of our street trees when putting your salt out for the ice. And I don't think I have anything else tonight. I just lost all train of thought. I think that's it. So, the next meeting at 7 p.m. on February 6th, council will hold a workshop. Could I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to adjourn at 8:32 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, we're adjourned. We have checks to sign.
Here you go, we can get a snack.
All right.
That young man right there.
Yep.